Welcome, everybody, to Phillies Unfiltered. This is episode 9 of the podcast. And, Jim, knowing the answer, I think we all know the answer. How are you feeling right now after this week of baseball?
Not so great. We put up some duds this week. It was just no energy.
Yeah.
How many runs? Barely anything was put up on the board.
2 shutouts in one series.
Yeah, the games we did win, it's not like we scored that much. We got some things to discuss today.
Indeed we do. Yes, we do. But before we get into the misery that is this week in Phillies baseball, I do want to just give you a more fun topic to talk about. So who is your favorite non-Phillies player from your lifetime and why? And then what's your favorite memory of that player?
That's a loaded question because there's so many different answers. I could give you an entire roster of players that I just enjoyed watching that were not Phillies.
Yeah.
First one that comes to mind, it might be similar for you, is Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, he was on my list.
That swing was out of this world. It was so special. It was so smooth. It was like hearing him talk about how he was trying to hit line drives the entire time, and if he just missed a little bit, it was a home run. Like that's
a towering home run usually.
Yeah, they were rockets, and like he was never linked to any steroids. Like he looked the same. I mean, he got a little bit larger.
But skinny as a beanpole most of his career.
Right, as he got older, he filled out a little bit more as he got older. As most of us do. Right? I mean, it's hard to think of a specific play for him because it was literally everything for him. Watching him in the home run derby. I think the cool highlight was him going back to back with his dad.
That was cool.
That's really cool. I mean, if I wanted to go off of Griffey, I was thinking Pudge, Ivan Rodriguez.
That's a great one. I wouldn't have thought of that, but yeah, he was one of the best catchers in our era for sure.
He's my favorite catcher of all time, non-Philly.
That's great. That's a great pick.
He was just a lot of fire, a lot of energy. Like, remember, was it with the Marlins when he tugged the guy out? He's like, yeah. He was holding the ball in front of the face. So like that was pretty cool, even though it was the Marlins. But I'm glad he was able to get one. But probably just those two guys first are the first two ones that I can think of. And I could go on and on and on and on. One day, you and I are going to create our own lineups. Or we're going to field the whole team potentially.
Yeah.
We all-time lineups, maybe potentially non-fills. Who knows?
Lifetime. Yeah.
Lifetime.
Yeah, I like it.
Lifetime.
We have some definite macro topics to discuss for sure. So yeah, we have some good opening topics.
How about you?
I was going to say, so Griffey was definitely a person I thought of, but I did think of some others just in case because I thought you might go there, understandably. But, I mean, like you said, just a really sweet swing. And not just that, he was a Gold Glove center fielder. He was a base-stealing threat. He had a great arm. I mean, he was a 5-tool player by every sense of the definition. And, the moment when he went back-to-back with his dad was a great moment. For me, it's probably, I think it was the 95 ALDS when they beat the Yankees that year at the Kingdome, and I think it was Edgar Martinez hit a ball down in the left field corner, and Griffey came around from first base, slid home, and scored. That was great. I mean, that's not easy down the left field line too. It was not. It was not easy, but he got a great jump on it, and he was one of the fastest players in the league at that time, and he showed it there. So. And the other one for me would have been Nomar. I think we've talked about that. Okay. I love Nomar Garciaparra. He got injuries late in his career that kind of hindered him, obviously. But during his heyday, he was my favorite shortstop to watch play in his prime. I mean, he made some great plays with the glove. He was a really good number 2 hitter, which was where I hit in the lineup. So I really liked. I mean, I think he probably batted third at times too, depending on who they had on the roster. But I just really liked how he played the game.
He was really good, and my thing with him, I didn't enjoy watching him with the before he stepped into the box and as he stepped out of the box with the gloves.
Idiosyncrasies, and the toe tapping while he was batting. Yeah, I definitely did not move that much as a hitter.
He was very twitchy. very
Yeah.
twitchy.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, but those would have been my non-Phillies to watch play. It was like right
Those are
there in
good.
the 90s, Yeah. So,
Yeah, I was thinking like, there's a lot of Mariners that could be on this list. Like Ichiro, it could have.
yeah.
He'd be on there, and they got Griffey, and then maybe even Randy Johnson. Like there's so
Oh
many.
yeah, Randy Johnson was
Up.
was great. Jamie Moyer. Jamie Moyer was
Jamie Moyer, our very own Jamie Moyer.
Exactly. Who ultimately came home and won the World Series. It was a great story.
Yes,
but
he did. There's some fun facts about him too. But
yeah, so I mean, fun stuff to start there, but unfortunately, we do have to get into some more unpleasant topics.
Indeed.
I mean, Jim, let's start first just with your general thoughts about the week, and then we'll get into stud and dud and pros and cons, and then just for everybody listening, we'll do those standard segments, but to also talk about whether this week may expedite some roster moves or might change Dombrowski's plans in terms of how he's managing the team from the general manager's office. Well, he's the president, but you get my point. He's pulling all the strings,
all the roster
there.
moves.
Right. And then also, maybe we'll get to Kyle Schwarber and the extension offer that apparently came out this week, that he received an offer from the Phillies at some point. I don't know if that was clarified, whether it was the offseason or recently since the season started, but we'll get into that a little bit too. So yeah, Jim, just general thoughts on this week.
Oh, I'll start with a positive. Our guy Bryson Stott leading off. I mean, yes. I love seeing that. I'm pretty sure the lineup we saw yesterday, as in Saturday, was the lineup that I mentioned episode 1. Like that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Stott, Turner, Harper in that order.
Yeah.
And stacking a lefty. We're having Schwarber on behind that. I was excited yesterday. We texted each other. I was like, yes, this is great. I mean,
yeah,
it wasn't the most potent of offense yesterday, but none of them are doing what they're supposed to be doing from that side right now. I mean, that's a positive takeaway, is that Topper's willing to shift that around and have Stott up there, which he should be. He had good at bats when he was leading off. Was it the first day he was leading off? He saw a handful of pitches, but everything he swung at were strikes. Like, what can you do? Right, and we'll see him foul off. We'll see him have long at bats, and I'm excited for that. Downside is, where in the world is the rest of the offense?
Yeah.
Why aren't we producing right now? And I don't want to go into my dud of the week, but we'll get to that point. But there's just too many negatives right now to talk about with the offense. It just, nobody's getting going. Like, or at least not enough people are getting going. We can't rely on just Schwarber, just Castellanos,
right,
to bring us these victories. I mean, starting pitching is keeping us in the game. Wheeler didn't have the best game today, and Sanchez was letting up just a lot of bloopers yesterday, which we talked about, but he was getting the double plays to back him up.
Yeah,
there's not a good feeling this week. Like, there are winnable games, and that they didn't win.
They were fighting it this week. They were in the Cardinals series. Yeah, we were talking about it. The Cardinals, I don't think I have ever seen a series where a team had so many hits that were just off the hands, off the end of the bat, dribblers, just like they weren't even hitting the ball that hard for the most part. It was finding grass. It was finding outfield grass, and that's just bad luck in that respect. Our pitchers were making pretty good pitches for the most part. They just were getting lucky breaks, and our guys weren't, on the other hand. Like when we were getting jammed, it was just a standard pop-up on the infield, right. And that's, just the kind of the way the week went in that regard. Now, I'm not going to make an excuse and say we lost this week because we had bad luck. We had some really bad at-bats, lack of situational awareness, in terms of what you should be doing with the baseball in certain situations at the plate. Harper and Turner had moments in the Atlanta series. They each got, a home run. They had some good at bats. Harper's issue right now is I think he doesn't have consistent protection around him. Guys, he's kind of they're throwing the ball out of the zone. He's not getting a ton of good pitches to hit, and when he does, I just don't think he's ready to do it because they're pitching around him a lot, and that's frustrating for a guy like Bryce because he doesn't just want to be a walk machine.
That's why we need Turner in front of him, and we need Schwarber right directly behind him.
Right.
Give him a chance to get some pitches that he's going to be able to drive. We saw what he did in Atlanta. He smoked one to the right field, right center field corner. Right center field was right into the Braves bullpen. That's what he should be able to do, is just drive the ball that way. He should be able to get pitches that he's able to swing at, when otherwise they're just going to keep throwing him out of the zone. Why pitch to him if they don't have to? And they're not afraid of. But they're not afraid of Bohm, right behind him, for instance. When he's behind him,
I think you kind of hit on this already, but there was a lack of just energy. There was a lack of will, And I mean, you can talk about the first game of the St. Louis series that the rain delay from the night before in Atlanta probably contributed to that to some extent, although they looked pretty much the same today as they did Friday night. Yesterday, Saturday, they looked really good. It was a good all-around team win. Everybody pretty much did what they needed to do to get them that win. The offense got the timely hits, the pitching was good, and they played good defense. They got those 5 double plays. That's how a team should play. You got to hit on all aspects of the game. But Friday and Sunday were very similar in terms of just the lazy at bats, not really not working counts, just very short, quick innings that were they were made it way too easy on the starting pitchers in each of the first and the third game. Can't do it.
Other issue to go along with this, it's a long stretch they're on right now too. They're not off again until next Thursday, the 24th, is it? They have a 4-game set against. They play us tough every time too.
And they just right now are hot. They're playing good baseball. So on top of the fact that they play us tough, that's going to be a tough series. I think a split. I will take a split in that series, given how we just played the last week. I will take a 2 out of 4 in that at this point. They just need to get back.
I need to see them put up. They need to put up 7 runs. At minimum in one of these games. I need to see an offensive explosion.
Early.
3 runs isn't going to do it. Early, sure. They scored 2 runs in the first inning yesterday, and that was it for the longest time.
Yeah,
that's not enough. I want to see the crooked numbers, but I need to see more of them, not just once.
Yeah, over the game.
There's runners in scoring position today.
We'll get to the numbers because I think you and I are probably on the same mindset of with the pros and cons and stuff. I'm definitely going to bring some numbers into that discussion. But generally it was a disappointing week. They just didn't have the jump. It was a tale of 2 weeks though. I mean, the first week they were really exciting for the most part. They looked pretty good throughout that first full week. And then this week it isn't. It's a 162-game season. It's a long season. We know how it goes. There's going to be ups and downs. On one hand, I'm disappointed. On another hand, I'm okay with them struggling early because this is the time to struggle. They're not in the hole. They're still at the top of their division. It's a very early, which means very little at this point. But they're not. They didn't start 0-10, right? They started decently well. They're not in a hole. They can work through this. They're in a position where they can go through these up and down until they maybe get into a more comfortable streak. It's April. It's middle of April. They'll be okay. It's just a matter of how long it takes to get there and what it looks like when they do get there, because I think those conversations are coming. Right. We have certain players that we really have to take a hard look at right now if you're Dombrowski and Thompson, because
Absolutely.
It's just not cutting it in some capacities. So, so I guess let's just take that into our stud and dud of the week. What are your stud and dud of the week, Jim?
Stud's really tough this week.
I know. I know.
I mean, if anybody, I'm probably giving it to Trey. His home run against the Braves was huge. He's been coming around a little bit. He's making good contact. I'm not upset with a hard line out to center field, for instance. I mean, he's making
and he's been
solid
doing
contact.
That more. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And his defense hasn't been bad. He's been serviceable.
He made some good plays. The double plays he contributed to. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, this was a light week as far as who I could choose from. I think Trey is most deserving of that. As far as dud goes, this guy has no hits this week. Been on base maybe once or twice. And my good buddy, Brandon Marsh.
Yep, your personal friend.
My personal friend, Brandon Marsh. I know he acknowledged that he needs to be better, but he's darn right he needs to be better. His middle name is literally Chase.
I know, you sent that to me today. I laughed so hard.
So really, I just need Brandon Marsh to be more patient at the plate, and he's unreliable right now. I really do not want to see him in the lineup today.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody in Philly really does. So I think there's a good chance that he will get at least a day off, if not two. We'll see what Topper does, but I mean, he's really not producing, and makes sense to get some other guys some at bats.
Please do.
Yes. So yeah, I agree with both of those things. Trey is a great pick for stud of the week. He was on my list too. I went with Casty, which he had a really good week. He's having a good season overall, I think, but he had a good week aside from that 5 strikeout game, and he had a rough game to finish the series, and he had a couple strikeouts, but after that 5 strikeout game, he really bounced back and, had some solid hits and drove some runs in after that game. He had 8 hits for the week, 4 RBIs. He batted
.333.
and again, a lot of doubles. Like half those hits were doubles, which are big. And we know Casty's good at that. Yes, that is a forte of his. He's, I think, I would argue, the best doubles hitter on our team. So I'm really happy with how he's performed overall. I mean, the chasing out of the zone, I think you've talked about that before. It's just part of who he is. He's doing it less this year, but I'd like to see him cut it down even still. But
there's lunges.
Yes, yeah, just reaching
down
across
and away,
2 feet across the plate, trying to get
the old Ryan Howard syndrome.
Exactly. So, and I can't. I mean, Marsh is really, really bad right now with how he's hitting. I mean, I think I don't know if we talked about it, but 108 he's batting on the season. He has had only 4 hits in the entire year so far. Granted, it's only been 2.5, 3 weeks, but still,
it's too long for only 4 hits.
Yeah. I'm going with Alec Boehm, which again is probably the boring choice because it's so obvious, but he's batting 150 on the season right now. Just really bad. He is 2 for his last 25, 8 strikeouts in that span, no walks, and it's just not good enough. If you're not hitting, you at least need to be walking. I will give him one bit of credit. His hard hit ball ratio is still decently high, so when he is making contact, he's hitting it decently hard, but the problem is he's not making contact enough. And even when he's hitting the ball hard, it's right at infielders, which is leading to double plays. Right. So, that doesn't always work. And we saw in that Cardinals series, all those bloops and dribblers, they did not hit the ball hard very, very much at all in that series. And they won the series and they got a lot of hits and runs. So,
right. We're just not doing that at all.
No.
We're not putting the ball where they're not.
Right, and that's partially a luck thing, but you still 9 times out of 10, if you are hitting the ball hard, things are going to eventually go well for you.
Right.
But again, a lot of strikeouts from Boehm, and in the field, he's been a little shaky. He's had some good plays, he's had some bad plays, and it's more for me about how he's handling his struggles, which we've talked about on this podcast before. You're going to struggle as a professional baseball player. All players do it, no matter how good you are. But it's how you handle it. And I just mentioned Casty at an 0 for 5, or had 5 strikeouts the other night. He didn't sit on that. He didn't worry about it. He got back at it the next night and started driving runs in again. That's what you got to do as a pro ball player. He did not. Boehm's not doing that. And you're seeing the body language. The kind of petulant child is coming out again. I mean, he's hitting himself with the bat in the helmet when he's striking out. He's throwing the helmet. He's throwing the bat down, not like at anyone. It's clearly frustration at himself. But the problem is when you do that, your opponents see that and they know that you're in your head and they're going to exploit that. That's what you do. So you got to keep that under wraps. It's fine if you have emotions. I'm not going to tell him not to be who he is, but you got to manifest that differently, right? You can't be showing your hand like that.
Every time he's swinging and missing, the bat's going with him. I mean, he's throwing the bat. He's clearly taking it personally every single time. And we mentioned it before. What Alec Bohm are we going to get when he goes 0 for 20? And this is what we got. He was 0 for 19?
Yeah.
So I was really close. But the attitude is a problem. The body language is clear as day to him, to everybody. That it's a factor that we need to get rid of. Like, I mean, he needs to settle in and calm himself. I don't know what he could possibly do, but we need better out of him as well.
Definitely.
So I agree with both of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both were in the same ballpark, no pun intended, on all of that. But so I guess moving on from the specific players that are, either up or down, from a team perspective, let's move on to pros and cons. What are your pros and cons this week?
The lineup. I mean, the batting order, in particular, of us being traditionalists, we get Bryson Stott up at the top. Yeah. That's what we want to see. We are going to see a lot of pitches up top, and everything when he was in there the other day to start it, every pitch he saw that was a strike he swung at. He was looking at pitches that were balls. That's good. He wasn't chasing pitches to start off the game. Like it's exactly what I want to see. He only saw 5 pitches that first at bat. He's going to have 8, 9, 10 pitch at bats at some point when he's leading off, without a doubt. And he's going to work a walk. He might have a hard hit ground ball too. And I mean, but it's a productive out. If you think about it, you're seeing a lot of pitches, and it gives the guys on deck and in the hole a chance to look at the guy. As far as other pros, it's kind of hard to come by, especially this week, because we were not driving the ball the way we should have been consistently. If anything, we saw some positive outcomes from Alvarado and from Romano in the last outing or two.
Yeah.
As far as cons go, everything else. Like the runners in scoring position is such a crutch right now, and the fact that we're not producing the runs effectively, it's a big problem. And there's no productive outs. There was a guy on second and third with the game today, and it was
Marsh.
Marsh literally chased, and then Rojas he bunted. Was it?
Yeah, with 2 outs, you can't do that. I'm glad he's trying to use his speed and stuff. Not again, lack of situational awareness. That's not a time to bunt with 2 outs and 2 guys in scoring position. You need to find a way to poke that ball into right field, on the ground, on a line drive, something. You got to get it done. And bunting is not what you do there. I'm all for bunting when it makes sense, to move runners, to use your speed to put pressure on the defense. But you got to understand, the game is such a mental game, and that's just not using your head. I mean, I doubt they gave him the sign for that. My guess is he decided I think I can beat this out, and he was out by a good 2 steps. I mean, it was not close. They got him, and it was a good play, but still, you can't be bunting there.
I'll send Rojas the video of Noah bunting from the other day.
Yeah, it was good. You sent me that. I was really impressed.
Perfect.
It was great form. He got down the line too. He didn't sit there and watch it. It was really well done. So tell him I said, as a fellow bunter and someone who took pride in my bunting, I really appreciate that, and I applaud his effort on that. So
figured you would. What do you have for pros and cons?
It's. For the pro, I'm going to say that we are 3rd in the league right now in walks as an offense. That is something that we have struggled with in the past. Aside from, like Schwarber, who's always been pretty good at taking walks, our guys have been prone to swinging early and often and then getting themselves into bad counts, which ultimately leads to a lot of strikeouts. This year we are walking more. 3rd in the league is good. I would love to stay top 5 for the rest of the year if we could. I think that's going to give us a lot of opportunities. But it brings me to my con, which you just kind of touched on, which is the runners in scoring position. Get guys on, that's great. That's the first step, but you got to bring them in. And we are right now, there's only 5 teams in the league that have a higher rate of leaving runners in scoring position per game than the Phillies. We leave 4.21 runners in scoring position per game. That is, even if you're only, half of that, right? You score on half of those. that's still 2 extra runs that you're leaving out there, and that can make the huge, as we know, a huge difference in a game. How many close games have we been in this year where it's been 1 or 2 runs? And you got to bring them home when you have the opportunity. So that is for me the biggest con right now. You talked about Alvarado and Romano. They had better outings this week. I need the consistency. Need to see this week to week from them. But Romano did seem to have a little bit more jump on his fastball. He seemed a little more comfortable. Alvarado looks, like the good version of Alvarado that we need. But it's always about consistency for that. So yeah, I would just say that the walks being third in the league in walks, and the con is definitely just not bringing the runners home when we have the opportunities.
And it's not like our pitchers aren't keeping us in the game. Like
no,
the starting pitching they weren't top quality this week,
right?
But they still did their job. They kept us close. Like Wheeler had the worst outing,
and honestly, that wasn't really his fault. That ball dropped at Rojas's feet. 3 of those runs shouldn't have happened. I mean, if you're talking about the Atlanta game, he really didn't get any help there. That should have been an error. I mean, I get that he didn't touch it. I know all the technicalities.
It's a mental error.
Yeah, I mean, that was not a hit. That was not Wheeler's fault. He should have been out of the inning. None of that should have happened. So I'm not concerned. I mean, Nola's 0-3, but he hasn't pitched horribly. I mean, he's given up home runs, which he's going to do. But he really, aside from that Nats game where I think he gave up 5, it's been, what, 2 and 2?
2, I think, something like that.
That's you can 100% live with that as a starting pitcher, or having your starting pitcher come out and do that. Our starting pitching is doing everything they can to give us a chance to win. The offense has to take advantage of opportunities and hit earlier. We're waiting till the 4th, 5th, 6th inning to really get the offense going in a lot of these games, and that's a problem. You got to be able to strike early. I get that this is kind of the Phillies thing, is second or third time through the lineup they start to get to a starting pitcher, and then once they get into the bullpen, they have done decently well so far this year. But you got to be able to jump on starting pitchers more frequently than we are.
And with this stretch coming up, I hope that they're back energized coming home.
Yeah,
it's a long wait before another day off.
Yes, it is, and tough opponent here this next 4 games. You got the Giants, who are playing really good baseball, and I think you and I have definitely talked about it. They play the Phillies tough regardless. I mean, it's always a tough matchup going back, 15, 20 years, really.
Cody Ross.
I mean, it goes back. I mean, they play them tough, and we have to be ready to play, even though we're at home. That's good. I think we do play a little bit better at home. We're definitely more comfortable there, but we got to get going early, and we'll see what happens, but it's got to be better. So, yeah, I guess I'm just kind of curious at this point. We've talked a little bit about the pros, the cons, all team and individual aspects. Do you, after the first 2 weeks of the season here, first 2 full weeks, do you think there's any chance that one of the 3 big prospects that we have is called up sooner than expected, with the understanding that Painter is on a timeline?
So Painter's happening. That's a guarantee.
Right. But
however,
his isn't going to change. His is locked in no matter what.
Right. If the trends are continuing to follow the way they are, Justin Crawford, as predicted, is going to be the everyday starting out center fielder. I need it. I'm so tired of Brandon Marsh. Sorry, buddy. And then Johan is not reliable at the dish,
even defensively,
and then now he's making mental errors, which he shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
But I fully expect to see Justin Crawford with this team, and hopefully sooner rather than later, because I'm not going to stand for another month of under 100 hitting for center fielding.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. Marsh is at 108 right now. I don't know what Rojas is at. He's probably a touch higher.
It's not going to balance much. But...
And I mean, because Crawford is he's looking great in AAA. I don't think he has any homers yet, but again, I'm not worried about that, because if you're hitting 250 to 275 in that 9 spot, it's a massive upgrade from what we're getting right now. You've got better overall defensive capability, probably, or at least more consistent. I don't think Crawford lets that ball drop at his feet like Rojas did, and he tracks down more stuff than Marsh does, probably.
Most likely.
And he's a more consistent hitter. He's dangerous when he gets on the base paths. I mean, we know his pedigree. We talked about it. He's a good runner, a good fielder, and he can hit. And he can hit lefties. That's
We
the
need
thing.
that too.
We do. This whole lineup struggles against left-handed pitching. It's been a problem this year. We've done okay against righties, but when we face a left-handed pitcher, it really does kind of stymie us until we're able to break into the bullpen, however long that takes. So I agree with you. I didn't think it would be this early that we'd be having this conversation. I really thought that there'd be a little bit more output. But honestly, if I'm Dombrowski, I'm giving this to the end of the month. I'm giving it to the end of April to let Rojas and Marsh figure their stuff out. And if they don't, if we're still seeing, averages in the low ones, you got to do something. And it's not like you're sitting there going, Crawford's not ready. No, we saw him playing with the big boys in spring training.
Ready.
We see him at AAA right now. He is ready. And you can't sit on this forever. Like the window, I don't think the window's closed after this year. If we don't win it all this year, I don't think it's closed. It'll look different because, younger guys will be up and some other guys will have moved on. But you do have to try this year to make it happen. And I think a big part of that is stability in center field. The last time we won a World Series, we had an everyday center fielder who never came out of the lineup. And we need that again. You got to have someone out there that is going to catch anything that's hit out there, is going to be a threat at the plate, and is going to steal bases. Victorino did all of those things.
He did.
And you need that out of the center field spot.
Yeah, I'm ready for it now. I wish it could happen now, but I think end of the month is a fair timeline. I mean, whether or not we pull the trigger on it is another story.
I don't know that they'll do that, but
as far as Aiden Miller goes, I still think we're waiting a while before we get him
next year. I think.
I see of it more. We maybe try to snag a veteran third baseman from somebody that's some bottom feeding team right now, and to supplant Bohm for the rest of the year if this continues, because we're not going to be able to have this either. A guy hitting 150 when he's supposed to be a run producer.
Your third baseman can't be a weak point in your hitting lineup. That has to be one of your most consistent and typically power hitter, but they need to be a good hitter. That's a position that traditionally is a good hitting position, and you need to have it, and not at all getting it right now. So, and Edmundo and Clemens, I think, are okay to be in there occasionally, but neither one of them, and we've talked about this, is a long-term starter. That's just not the role that they're built for. They're the guys that come in and late in the game as a defensive replacement or a pinch hit. Either one, they're both good. They both can hit and they can play defense, but they're not long-term options in the starting lineup. That's not what the lineup is built for, and they need to. I agree with you. I don't know how that'll shake out, where we'll find someone on the market to trade for. I don't know what that means for Bohm. I don't know if they just shelf him for the, I don't know what that looks like, because you're not going to have him sitting there on the bench and then that creates a logjam. So I think they're just going to give him some time. You got a little while to the trade deadline to try and figure it out. He's probably going to be platooning with those other two guys until he gets more consistent, if he does. And if he doesn't, then you got to have some serious conversations about that hole.
I doubt that somebody's going to be willing to take him. I think he's going to be a change of scenery guy. Like, he needs that. So the chances are dwindling that he stays in Philadelphia. I didn't expect him to be here anyway after this year, but it's looking less and less at this point.
Yeah, I think Miller, there's a good chance he starts the year next year as the third baseman. Trey has made some defensive plays that I think are preserving his career at shortstop for a little bit longer. Because at the beginning of the year, I was ready to just shove him to the outfield. But he's doing a little bit better, and I think you can get another year or two out of him in that position if it means Miller can get, supplant Bohm at third. And that's an upgrade all around. He's got a better attitude, which is not hard to achieve. He's better defensively. We know that. And I think he's just a better hitter. I mean, Bohm has had moments of being a good hitter, but Miller's got a little bit more power, I think, or natural power.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I mean, I agree with you. I think Crawford is they got to start looking at seriously bringing him up sooner than later.
Really didn't expect my hot take to be coming to fruition a lot sooner than this. I was thinking maybe August. We might be getting it a lot sooner than that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, and I mean, I think that's just kind of where we are with that. The other thing that came out this week was that Kyle Schwarber had been offered an extension by the Phillies, and I'm not sure. I don't know that I was able to clarify whether it was during the offseason or just since the season started. I do know that they have stopped discussions. He did reject that. offer, whatever it was. And, you know, I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. A lot of times players will say, look, I want to just concentrate on playing. It's usually, a lot of times it's a mutual agreement of like, look, we'll revisit this because, the games are being played. Let's concentrate on that. I mean, what's your thought on that right now? Because obviously he's not locked up. He's done. He's gone. His contract ends after this year, but he has done everything you could expect from a guy that has been your DH for the last 3 years.
We've gotten more than we expected, most likely.
Yeah.
He had 46 home runs his first year with us, and then he's continuing to produce. I mean, I know he said he wants to be here, and if he's declining offers before the season, during the season, I think he's going to test, but I still think he's going to re-sign. Yeah. I don't think anything more than 3 years. I want 2 years and an option.
Yeah.
I think in a sense, he is going to be blocking Bryce from being our regular DH at some point.
That's fair. Yeah, I think 3 is my max. I would give him 3 if that's the thing holding this up, if it's the length of the contract. I wouldn't go more than 3 because I agree with you. Bryce is going to eventually need to move to that DH spot. He's very good at first base right now, and I think he can last another 3 years there and be effective and maybe win a Gold Glove. We talked about that. He's got the talent to do that. Still sometimes wanders a little too far away from the bag, taking some balls in the hole there from where Stott would get him easily. But he's athletic and he plays really good first base. Right. I do think, Kyle's 33. So if you gave him a 3-year deal, say he's close to 34, if not 34, when he starts that contract, he'll be 37. I think at that point, that's enough time for Bryce to probably get the best years you're going to get out of him out of first base. And then, you probably at that point let Kyle walk to whatever he's doing after that. And then Bryce moves to DH. But this kind of got a monkey wrench thrown into it because we talked about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in a previous episode. If he became a free agent, the Phillies might pursue him, and I think they would have, but that is off the table. He just got that massive extension from Toronto. Smart on their part because there would have been it would have been a huge bidding war, and it was smart on Toronto's part to lock him up. But
good for them.
But I think that would have been a scenario where you'd be more comfortable not re-signing Kyle, right? And going, okay, look, Kyle, we wish you well. Plans have just changed. We're going to bring Vladimir Guerrero in, and you can figure the lineup a little bit differently, but I like him. I think he likes this city. He does seem like a really down-to-earth kind of guy. I don't think he's in it just for the money. I think, he's going to just look and see what his options are. I do agree with you. I think there's a good chance he re-signs here. But why not test? Why not see what interest is out there? It's do your due diligence. I think the Phillies are probably at the top of his list, though. He's been here for 3 years, and he's had arguably his most consistent run of seasons with us in his career. In terms of offensive output, his RBIs would be up a lot more too if he wasn't batting leadoff for the majority of that time. So I hope they bring him back. I really like him. He's at DH. He is as good as it gets. He does what you need a DH to do. So I hope they bring him back. I hope they're able to work something out.
All he does is win. We haven't gotten to the promised land. But he's a winner. We make it to the playoffs every year with him. All he does is get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So he's the type of player we need in the clubhouse and on the roster.
I agree. So hopefully that works out and they're able to bring him back. Nick is not going anywhere right now. He's got another year after this, but the way he's playing, I'm not looking to trade him in the offseason. I'm not, I don't know what if an extension's on the table because that's still a ways away, but he's given you so much defensively that I don't think that the team even accounted for when they signed him. He's been a really solid right fielder defensively, and he's been pretty good at the plate. Aside from that first season with us, he's pretty much given us what I expected. Maybe a few less home runs than I thought I was going to get from him. But again, I didn't realize he was such a doubles machine. So I'll take that. I don't mind it. And he's good with the fans. You saw that whole fist bump moment with the kid the other day. It was great. And I mean, that's not a reason to sign a guy or re-sign a guy, but in itself, but he has earned his spot. So my point is, you're going to have to make room for these young guys somehow coming up. I don't know what that looks like necessarily. I'd like to see Kyle stay, but if it I don't know what that looks like. So I think they have to figure out where they're going and who's going to be available, and and I think we just know Bohm's likely going to be gone. I can't see them in any way, shape, or form continuing that experiment after this year.
Why would we want to?
Right. Well, I think we have covered everything for the week. It has not been a good week, but hopefully better ahead. But we are at your favorite segment.
Oh, it is. It's time for Guess That Philly. Are you ready, sir?
I suppose so.
Okay. Well, this player was number 27, a left-handed pitcher.
Aaron Nola before Aaron Nola.
No. Yeah. So he spent 8 years in the bigs, one of which was with the Phillies, 2013.
1 year.
1 year. During that year, he started 14 games, had a 3-6 record with a 5.33 ERA.
Not great numbers. Although that wasn't a great year. That was when we were. Really
it was one of the lean years, we'll call it.
Yeah. Okay.
He primarily spent his time with the Washington Nationals and also played for the Mets. He spent all of his time prior to the Phillies with the Nationals.
A lot of NL East time. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm not. Nothing's coming to me right now.
All right. So this one might be the trigger. I remember him for being the one to throw the pitch that broke Chase Utley's hand.
Yeah, I remember that happening. I don't remember the guy who did it. This is very reminiscent of the Matt Beach debacle. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't have anything in my head.
I believe he's the also the current mental health coach for the Toronto Blue Jays.
That's helping me less. That's cool.
That's a pretty cool cool gig here. Is it finally time that Jim is stumped, Brent?
I think we're there because I have no idea who you're talking about.
This player is Mr. John Lennon.
I don't remember him at all.
No. He threw. I'll never forget him. Chase getting his hand broken.
I know. I remember that. I just don't remember the guy
shaking it out.
Yeah, I don't remember the guy who threw it. But yeah, that was 100% your Matt Beach revenge. That's what that was.
So now we're even, sir.
Well done. You got me. I'll take the L.
Well, take the L this week. You never know what's going to happen.
Like the rest of the Phillies.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you at least had a chance.
I don't know about that, but anyway, you got me. Very well done, sir. Right. Very well done.
Well, that wraps us up, folks. You can listen to us on Apple Podcast and Spotify. We're on Facebook at Phillies Unfiltered Podcast, Instagram at Phillies Unfiltered, X/Twitter at Funfilter. That's PHUNPHILTERD. And of course, now you can see our faces on YouTube at Phillies Unfiltered Podcasts.
Man, you are getting like an auctioneer with this, man.
Yes, I'm working on it. I'm working hard. I'm still referencing the notebook, but it's there. I'm enjoying doing that part.
I can tell. You're doing very well with it. Well, yeah. So I mean, that brings us to the end. Thank you all for joining us again. This was a rough week. We appreciate you tuning in to hear our thoughts, and hopefully we've got a better week ahead, and they are able to get back on the horse here and start winning some ball games again, scoring some runs. That's how you get wins. So we got to start with the run scoring. But again, thank you all for joining, and we will see you next week. And
as always,
go Phils.
Go Phils.
Go Phils. Bye.
Bye.